Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll make your way to your seats, we're going to start in about 2 minutes.
I got my back up against the wall. Photocopies of registration.
I'll be reaching this stuff for you. You are. So I just say it's good.
You can do the other two.
All right.
Yeah, because I told everybody if you could put it in It got better if we have our own insurance. Because
All right, Steve, let's rock and roll. I know. Bang that gavel.
Like to call the meeting to order. Ask the chaplain for invocation and then pledge.
You can stay seated because I'm going to preach. Good morning, folks. As you know, today is second Sunday of Advent. So I'd like to talk about Advent this morning. The second Sunday of Advent gives us the opportunity to prepare our hearts in faithful waiting, celebrate the birth of Jesus, and ready ourselves for the second coming. It is a beautiful chance to reflect on the ways prophecy has been fulfilled and to ponder what the future, or promise to us through prophecies, will bring. In Psalm 46, 10 and 11 it says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us, the God of Jacob, our fortress." This week, we pause to remember who God is and what He has done for us. When our lives are hurried, we only have the chance to focus on our to-do list. Making space in our schedules for prayer and meditation helps us to better see God at work in our lives and in our world. As we prepare our hearts for the celebration of Jesus' arrival as a gift to all humanity, let's stir up in our hearts and homes a sense of anticipation. May God's Spirit transform the days leading up to Christmas into a time of holy anticipation, preparing our hearts as we faithfully await the chance to celebrate the arrival of our King. The word Advent comes from the Latin word adventus, which means coming. Advent in the 4th and 5th century was a time of preparation for baptism of new Christians. Christians would spend 40 days in prayer and fasting to prepare the celebration that accompanied the baptism of new believers. Over time, Advent was connected with the coming of Christ. Originally, Christians used this term to reference Christ's second coming, but by the Middle Ages, Advent was connected to Christ's first coming that we celebrate at Christmas. Today we celebrate Advent over the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas each year. Advent season is an invitation to set our minds off the stresses of the year. We take our focus off the crazy hustle of the season and the sadness that could accompany the different ways some of us may be choosing to observe the holiday season this year. Even when things feel chaotic, we can find peace in Jesus. Advent is a chance to focus our thoughts on the gift God has given us in His Son, Jesus, who stepped down from heaven and took the form of a man so that we might believe. The tradition for the second Sunday of Advent includes the lighting of the second purple candle that is a symbol of faith. This second Sunday of Advent, we read, pray, and reflect on the hope God's plan gives us, foretold by the prophets and fulfilled by the life and death of Christ. And we meditate on the promise of Christ's coming, glory, fulfilled return. There are 3 readings we associate with the second Sunday of Advent. The first one is Isaiah 40, 1 through 5, which says, Comfort, comfort my people, says our God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and proclaim to her that her hard service has been completed, that her sin had been paid for, that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain hill made low. The rough ground shall become level, and the rugged places a plain. And the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all people will see it together, for the mouth of the Lord is spoken. The second is Isaiah 40, 9 through 11. You who bring good news to Zion, go up on a high mountain. You who bring good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with a shout, lift it up. Do not be afraid. Say to the towns of Judah, here is your God. See, the sovereign Lord comes with power, and He rules with a mighty arm. See, His reward is with Him, and His recompense accompanies Him. He tends His flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in His arms and carries them close to His heart. He gently leads those who have the young. And the third is 2 Peter 3, 8 through 14. But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. The Lord is not slow in keeping His promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, His patience with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. Since everything will be destroyed in this way, what kind of people ought you to be? You ought to live holy and godly lives as you look forward to the day of God, and His speed is coming. That day will bring about the destruction of the heavens by fire, and the elements will melt in the heat. But in keeping with His promise, we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth, where righteousness dwells. So then, dear friends, since you are looking forward to this, make every effort to be found spotless, blameless, and at peace with Him. Please join me in prayer. Father, prepare our hearts to celebrate your birth joyfully. We thank you for faithfully doing what you promised long ago when you sent your Son to earth so that we might have the chance to become part of your family. Let the promise of your second coming inspire us to live with hope and purpose. As we wait for your plan to unfold, give us the patience we need. Remind us of the peace we can access when we take time and to be still ourselves before you and remember that you are God. We thank you that you are both sovereign and gracious. Father, guide us today with wisdom and knowledge. Father, we lift up to you Richard Smith for healing, the Arbutus Fire Company as they deal with the death of Jag, Walter Glenn and Bob Goll Sr. from Susquehanna Hose for healing, and all those who we do not know about, Father, who are not with us today. We ask you to be with them for healing. Father, protect those responding on calls, and most importantly, Father, protect our military serving around the world, enabling us to be here. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Kurtz.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to thank and recognize the Showell Volunteer Fire Department. Let's give them a round of applause for the hospitality this weekend. Dave, it's been about a year since I came down to see you and asked you, and I was working with Connie Rhodes. Connie decided to go on vacation this weekend, setting it up. But first, I'd like to give you this recognition awarded to Showell Volunteer Fire Department for your dedicated support and service provided at the Maryland State Firemen's Association Executive Committee, December 3rd, 4th, signed by me. Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And here's a check.
Thank you.
He really loves it. And to the auxiliary, I have special recognition awarded to the Showell Volunteer Fire Department Auxiliary for your dedicated support and service provided at the Maryland State Firemen's Association Executive Committee, December 3rd and 4th, signed by me. Thank you so much. And thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Vice President Carey for guests.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm still in the process of checking everybody in. I would like to mention past President Fred Cross sitting over there. He's with us today, which is good. And to the ladies that I forgot to get to sign yesterday, I like ladies. I'm not against it in any way, shape, or form, and my humblest apologies. Mr. Chairman was calling it to order, so I had to run up here and sit down so I wouldn't be out of order for that. But generally, we have the same people that were here yesterday. We're missing a couple because of previous commitments. I will try to get around and make sure I get you all signed in. If I didn't, just yell at me. I'm new at this job, remember? And that. So by the next couple of executive committee meetings, I might have it down pat.
No, good morning. Just want to say thank you, everybody, for taking the time and effort away from your families this weekend and traveling down. Hope we have a good meeting this afternoon. I think we can wrap things up and keep it moving. So, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start with the transportation branch. Robbie, we'll start with the President's Vehicle Committee first. Mitch?
Okay, good morning, everyone. The president of the President's Vehicle Committee, which happens to be Chairman Cox, we want to advise you of three issues, not issues, but three items. The first Vice President Smothers' vehicle was in an accident. We are awaiting the insurance adjuster to examine the vehicle to determine whether or not it will be totaled or repaired. So we're still waiting for that. We did receive 2 new trailers. They've been delivered. One went to Teresa for fire prevention, and the other went to Chris May for all the audio equipment you see here today. In fact, it's here today, right outside the door here. I'll be going to MVA to get the registration and tag straightened out just as soon as we get all the paperwork in. The third thing is we checked with Hertrick Fleet in Millsboro, Delaware for a new Explorer. Ford has cut off all orders for new vehicles until June of 23. They did say, is there anything else you want? So they did say Durango is available, and we're considering some options if we do get a Durango, moving some vehicles around possibly. So we're looking at options for that. And that's the report of the Residential Vehicle Committee.
Sale of the trailer? Sale of the trailer?
Oh, yes. That's the fourth thing that we were talking about. The Neo trailer, which the AV equipment used to be in, Rusty Leftwich has a bid package ready to be posted. With that, we'll take bids. We just need pictures. Chris is going to take some pictures and get it to Rusty, and then it'll get posted. I believe the date's January 15th, I think,
The cutoff date.
It will be the cutoff date, so we'll be accepting bids for the Neo trailer. Because there were several people interested in it, we thought the fairest way to do it would go ahead and put it out for bid.
And we'll be bringing that to the executive committee to approve whatever the recommendation is. Do have one more item. The car committee or presidential vehicle committee was approached. Darlene Vogt, if you'll walk in here a minute. Darlene does the chauffeuring for the ladies going shopping, and she approached the vehicle committee asking for a vehicle. And I told her she would get one. The ladies' vehicle is white. The men's vehicle is red. Her vehicle is red and white.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is our new ride.
It's an SUV. Play your room. Go get my presents.
So I started, so I'm just going to work my way up through the years right until I get one that we all can fit in. Thank you very much, car committee.
I kept my promise. I told you you would get a vehicle today.
You told me I could have a vehicle. I'm going to have to be more explicit when I.
January 15th. Oh, June. No. Yeah, 12/23 was the cutoff. Anything from Transportation Committee? Okay. Any questions of the car committee? Okay. Let's go back to members branch, and the executive committee liaison, Buddy Sutton, has been excused today, but if we can do reaching the next generation. John Denver, are you here? Scholarship, Lynn. Cancer support. And National Fire.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Excuse me. The Cancer Support Committee report was submitted in writing, and it is online.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report of the National Volunteer Fire Council was submitted electronically. I just kind of highlight a few items. Eric Bernard and I continue to represent you on the council. Very active. We do meet twice a year. We just recently held the fall meeting in North Carolina. I was attended by myself, also John Long, who serves as the chaplain to the National Volunteer Fire Council. Director Bernard was unable to attend due to a family death. Present at the fall meeting were 57 directors representing 39 states, so we had a nice showing. We also recently completed the second National Volunteer Fire Council recruitment and retention experience. I know there were a number of members there from Maryland. Director Bernard and myself both attended, and our travel for that was funded by the NVFC because we were participating in some of the presentations. I also had the honor and the opportunity to represent the National Volunteer Fire Council at the Fallen Firefighters Foundation Life Safety Summit 2022 in San Antonio. If you remember, and those that follow the Firefighter Life Safety Initiative, they came out of the Tampa Summit in 2004. There was a second summit 10 years later to say how are we doing with reducing firefighter injuries, firefighter line of duty deaths. That was labeled as Tampa 2. There was a third summit in between, and this actually was the fourth summit. The Fallen Firefighters Foundation is kind of committed to try to get people together at least on about every 5-year cycle in order to talk about that. We had a lot of good discussions. We had some breakout groups that talked about some key areas for reducing line of duty injuries and line of duty deaths, and look forward to the report on that and the action that's doing that. Probably most importantly is the support that we're getting from the U.S. Fire Administrator, Dr. Lori Moore Merrill. I can tell you that is a lady with an agenda, and she's a ball of fire, and we look forward to it. I've had several conversations with her that I think that this is a unique opportunity, that we have somebody in the U.S. Fire Administration that's not simply a political appointment, but somebody there that's with an agenda. And I think she's going to drastically change the way we do business, and it's an exciting time. I think I reported on this last time, but I think it's important to highlight. National Volunteer Fire Council has approved a new member benefit program. Chaplain Long spoke about that yesterday, to provide first responder assistance in mental stress, depression, grief and loss, a lot of things there. And as an NVSC member, you're entitled to up five telephone counseling sessions. And where we see this is important, a lot of people may have access to their own EAP, their own counseling services, but a lot of times people don't want to do that. They don't want that close affiliation, because the fear that if I go to somebody that my department has hired, somebody in my department is going to know about it, even though there's supposed to be a confidentiality and privacy. Word gets out, telephone, tell a friend, tell a fireman kind of thing. So I think when you have these outreach opportunities beyond your local resources, it certainly provides that. My own presentation, it's okay to say I'm not okay. I've probably hit 12 different departments around the state as well as outside the state, and I think I've reached over 300 members. I'd like to put another 0 and beyond that, but I've already been approached for several presentations, one in Kent and Queen Anne's and one at Bay District in early 2023. And again, I offer that presentation to anybody that's willing to host me and listen to me for 2 hours. I think the messages there are important. I also chair the safety committee for the Maryland Fire Chiefs, and I provided you with a copy of the December newsletter that we just came out with. We've been doing a monthly newsletter, and we return to the topic of mental wellness, especially around the holiday period, because that often serves as a trigger for many with grieving and loss and stress. And two very powerful messages in front of that. Deputy Chief Obarski from Salisbury reflects his own personal dealing with PTSD issues and having to get help. And Scott Gazelhart from Minnesota, come a bit far away, but Scott's kind of, at least for NVSC, is kind of our poster child for things that we've been able to do with the Share the Load program. Both of those articles are very, very powerful messages in there. NVSC is also, with partnership with ISC and VCOS, recently published an operational training guide, training volunteers to be combat ready. I would encourage you to download that. There are also some training webinars that have been offered through those three organizations in order to put this out there. A lot of work went behind that. It's a pretty good publication. Our next training summit is June 23rd and 24th. Yes, that's the tail end of our convention, just like it was last year in Oklahoma City. We already got a lineup of some very good health and safety presentations there. And as always, NVSC will be offering travel stipends to its members. We encourage those that are NVFC members to take advantage of our virtual classroom. A lot of online training opportunities there. I personally had the opportunity to recently complete the development of two training programs, one on the grant writing process and another one on developing a safety culture for the fire service. And those programs and many more are available in the classroom. So last, I'll kind of put the plug in. Chaplain Long kind of did this for me yesterday, but I'll do that. The All-State Membership Program, dues in the National Volunteer Fire Council are normally $21. MSFA has a rate of $18 because we kind of contracted, if you want to call it contracted, the rate before they increased the dues. But MSFA pays half of that. So that means for $9 a year, your members can be a member of the National Volunteer Fire Council and have the benefits such as a $10,000 AD&D policy, access to the mental wellness program, the training opportunities through the virtual learning network, the sponsorship and stipends that go with attending some of our conferences. So please, we're at 649 members. I'd like to see us, by the time we come back next meeting, I'd like to see it be over 1,000. I know that's a dream, but certainly I'd like to see that be there. So our spring meeting will be held in Arlington in May. And as always, members of the association, the officers and members, and anybody that wants to can attend as your schedule allows, and that information will be on the NBFC website. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer it at this time.
Any questions for NVFC? Thank you. Past President Denver, do you have any? Reaching the next generation?
On the reaching the next generation, getting a committee meeting together here. I had a couple of health issues recently, wasn't able to get it set up, but I have sent information out to each of the members trying to get something set up here in the next couple of weeks. While I'm here, if you want the marketing, we have we're planning on attending the MACO Winter Conference. On election years, they move it back into the first week of January. Other years it's in December, but election years they run it in the first week of January, I think, to get people so that they're already sworn into office when they come down to those sessions. So MACO Cambridge in early January, assuming there'll be a couple of legislative sessions, and also contacting, working with the Ocean City Hotel, Motel, and Restaurant Association to have a booth at the Trade Expo, which is in early March, I believe. Do you have any questions on either of those?
Any questions? Thank you. On the LoSAP committee, Chip, if you'll cover that, please.
Yeah, the Incentives Committee, just want to go over a few things that they have in their report. Rick is not here today. Don't forget, for 2022, your members' allowance is $7,000. As you heard earlier, the Legislative Committee is certainly, again, working to boost that to $10,000 at some point in time. We are very hopeful. Rick did want to remind everybody that the Comptroller's Office will not accept a file without the full 9-digit Social Security number. There's always some concerns about that. He said they will reject a return. So for those of you that have a concern about the Social Security number, apparently this is an actual requirement by the Comptroller's Office, and essentially nothing that they can do. He also asked that the companies, let's see where we're at here, that each company is responsible for the individual reports. Prepare the report to be uploaded to the website, and by state law, your report must be uploaded no later than May 1st of 2023 for a successful 2022 tax incentive. The report is online if anybody wants to read the entire report.
Any questions? Thank you. Health and Wellness, Teresa.
Good morning again. Just to let everybody know, the committee's been meeting in subgroups. They have been broken down into various tasks. I did meet with Eric Olson about some items that he is working towards his degree in being a clinician. He's a paid fireman here in Ocean City. He supports their whole program, career and volunteer, across the board. And we've had in-depth discussions with him on what we need to do to bring clinicians around the state. So his group that he works with is a little bit different. During the summer, I was able to meet with Ben Barnes, and Ben's become a very good advocate for the fire service. If anybody, we've talked about Ben in different aspects of the legislative side, but Ben is a lawyer by trade, and he is a workman's comp lawyer also, and he sees the need and benefit. So our ultimate goal is to ensure that clinicians are found within the state to support all of public safety. So he's working on a bill that will be brought forward in like what John talked about yesterday about Georgia. It was almost like they thought about us or we thought about them. They're trying to get clinicians in place around the state to ensure that all of public safety has the ability to go to these people that are specifically trained in this type of need. We also, in the bill that he's going to introduce, is the aspect of not everybody has the ability to pay up front, and I think sometimes that stops someone from going and getting help. So they were going to do some kind of stipend program. He's still trying to figure that part out, the whole process of how someone can like submit and then what you will prove and how your need. But with having the clinician there in place, that gives them the emergency order that they might need to go somewhere. There's only specific places that he wants to work with in the state. There's one in, I think it's Harford County, where a lot of people go. And then there's another place out in Ohio that would be able to, I think it's Harbor Grace. Is it Harbor Grace? Yeah. So he's very familiar with those. He's making this a whole public safety thing because he knows that there's small police departments that might need or require this support, because not everybody might not have what a major department or community might have in place. And that's been seen in some of the different things that he's dealt with. So it's like an all-encompassing bill. And I told him, I said, I don't want just specifically the fire service. We have to think of everybody. And that's when he agreed to do it as a public safety thing, because if you think I'm just using my county as a whole, I have the fire department already, but municipality-wise in Prince George's County alone, there's 56 municipality police departments out there. That might be 3, 4, up to 6, up to 10 officers, and they might not have the ability to have this type of program. So that's what they're looking at. And I did talk to Mary Lehman because her brother committed suicide. He had been with us, and it was actually his anniversary just a couple of weeks ago, and his birthday was Thursday. And no one knew that he had these problems. And Mary was like very taken back. So Mary's very supportive, and she told Ben that she would be, they've already started rolling and trying to get the people in line. I think some of the heartache that Ben had was he had to find out who was going to win the elections first. So he can do his little part in the beginning, but ultimately, the end of November, he did make a phone call saying that they've started the process, and then Mary called me for something totally different, and then we got on the subject of this also. So she's very supportive, and she will be that person to back the bill, and then they'll find someone on the Senate side. And I think Sheriff Jackson was supposed to be that person, and then they're going to look for him as a whole. I do know that Ben was going to meet with the FOP to get the people from that level. But this, as you all would know, I don't have all the particulars yet because he hasn't given them to me. I did talk to Chief Phillips briefly a while ago, but it's starting to move faster, so we'll bring everybody in place onto that aspect. But ultimately, our goal is to find the support that's needed for these people. And also breaking down, there'll be support to the families also. So that was like the whole thing. I said, I have to help everybody. Like, this is what we're going to do. So he's very supportive of that. I got to get the band back together. I've been letting them meet on their own. Now I have to bring everybody back into that aspect of the fold to find out where they're moving. The biggest thing is I want to talk to John today. And then I did talk to Kate briefly about building the toolbox to the both sites, to the Maryland Fire Chiefs site and to the association site, and then having them be put on their main thing. Dave Ione, who was one of the developers, I did talk to him about making a banner that would scroll across both sides and then like you did the link, the click, or whatever you got to do. And then, as everybody knows, back in July, the 3-digit number was announced. That's been put out there. I had to thank MIFRI and MIMS for putting all those things together for us. They're starting to bring other people into their subgroups, so I need to find out who they've asked, because Randy from MIMS has actually gotten all their regional coordinators to help with the toolbox also. So I want to get them all up to speed, and just letting them do what they needed to do and to move that forward. And then I do know that there's some trainings coming up tomorrow in Virginia. It's been shared through the different sites. I cannot attend that, but that was open to anybody. That was free. And then speaking with Dave, I've asked him to come to our fire prevention meeting in January to give his talk, because I think ultimately we all have to take care of everybody, and wherever he can be able to give this presentation, I think is important. So he'll be doing that for us. And then closing out that, I just wanted to talk about the cancer support real quick so that you all understand. We have one toy box left. That is being raffled off, and Rosa Mayer is taking care of that. And then I do know that Randy and I talked. They're going through all the stuff that's at the Crofton office. I don't know if she put it in her report. I haven't been able to look at it. But they're trying to see what's good and what's not good. And then I do know that we've moved forward with support of people with getting the gas and the support cards. Other than that, and then if you need a Bessie Marshall pin, I have them in the back. Thank you.
Any questions for Teresa?
Mr. Chairman, Teresa, I know they're in the process of developing that bill, but we need to make sure that our youth are included in that for the folks. And I know you specifically talked about that, but those folks need to make sure that that's available to folks too that are, part of our.
Yeah, it starts with the person, the first responder, but then it breaks it down to support of the family members also.
Okay.
So that they'll have it. And just to let you know, Alex Perricone, I think it's Perricone, I can never say his name right. They're actually, we talked about this because we need to ensure that, one, the slide decks are at MIFRI when they teach a class. It's a requirement of the instructor. They're creating the actual, canvas, when you do all your documents now. There'll be a segment there, and they're working on, I talked to Mike Wells from Prince George's County. He's, so y'all know I don't care. This is like a career volunteer thing. This is all encompassing everybody, and I'm going to use my resources where I can. They have a video that they're creating, and it's very generic. And that video will be placed with them, and then they'll sign that. So every time they take a class, it's not where you have to just scan, you get into Canvas, you've done it so many times, you just hit the button, you go forward. That's not going to happen with this. There'll be a slide on that part where you'll have to watch the video and answer some questions. And then the questions will be broken out each time, so you not get the same question. So they're working on that too, just to get the information out there.
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I know it's in progress.
Yeah.
So, and just, we're talking about numbers that folks need to reach out, and I know that because I've experienced that most of my career, is that folks don't like talking to people that are within the same department. So, folks look out your neighboring department. Of course, we have the national number, which is the 888 number, and then Syscom is also available for a resource too. So we're trying to make sure that it's all encompassing of everyone, to include our youth, because they're struggling out there too. So especially this time of the year.
So people understand, Syscom's not going to air your dirty laundry. They're going to give you the phone numbers that you need. They're going to look. They have the resource tools there, and then they'll work with whatever they have to do. And then they have clinicians. Now, I did put out something, and I got to do it again to everybody, that if you know of clinicians in your area that want to be a part of this, so that we can make a list that we have. I need that. And then if you have people that are actually doing peer support in your communities, I kind of need to know that too. There's a group that is working on that, but we just want to make sure that we're not missing anybody. We want to, this is all encompassing.
Well, and we want to make sure that those folks are trained. So
Correct.
we're not going to just send you somewhere that we're not comfortable with.
Correct.
And and that same applies to the clinicians that people go to. I mean, I've experienced that too, where you send someone somewhere and they have no idea
Yeah.
what we do or who we are, and that just turns into a hot mess.
And that's what Eric
no
said.
no disrespect to the clinicians out there, but there are some folks that are just not capable of handling us.
Yeah. We're that crazy animal. But like Eric said, that was the biggest thing that he's done. And see, it sparked him because he had a problem, and that he got into this part of the job, and now he's getting his degree in this very work. So it's getting there. So.
And he made that presentation at the Safety Committee also. Past President Lewis.
Yeah, I just want to, again, I make reference to the backstep talks that I sent to each of you. One of the things I did highlight on, March 30th and 31st, there's a conference called the First Responder Mental Health and Wellness Conference. It was held last year. I know Eric speaks very highly of it. Michael Compton spoke very highly of it. They hosted it last year. They're hosting it again this year. Very good in fact, Eric is actually one of the presenters this year at that. So I would encourage those that have a steep interest in this to kind of look at that. I know that we're going to try to send some people through the Safer grant with the Maryland Fire Chiefs. I've already registered myself and one other member of my department. So the details are in that newsletter. So and you can look at the link and a very powerful and very good conference. Did you get a chance to attend it, Roger? Did you? Last year? No. I know Mike did and Eric had. So I just wanted to highlight that, as well as just put another plug into the newsletter.
Any questions? Thank you. Keep up the good work. We're going to move back to yesterday and go to emergency medical services. Eric, your branch, and Charlie, if you'll give that report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of our chairperson, Linda Dusa, who was not able to be here today, I do want to note, though, that her husband, Bill, who previously had been reported ill, is doing very well now, and I believe they went on a cruise today. So good for her and him both. The EMS committee met October 30th, and 19 members were present at the Pleasant Valley Community Fire Hall. We had a very good meeting and a lot of discussion. The ALS committee reported by Mary Ann Wareheim that they are looking and continuing to function on dealing with MIMS regarding the various capabilities and functioning of paramedics in different jurisdictions. And I believe what that means is that every jurisdiction is different types of requirements for their paramedics, and they want to try to bring more items on a statewide jurisdictional functioning type criteria. So they are working on that. Bill Dusa reported that the renewal process for EMTs is moving forward, that they are restructuring the basic EMT internship package, and how that is being distributed across the state to the various classes and how it works. And that seems to be moving along well, and some other issues in receiving cards and so on seems to be improving now that MIMS is back in their building. The Voluntary Ambulance Inspection Program has had no meetings and continues to be dealt with. And I might add, this report has been filed electronically. We had a very detailed report from Dr. Chismar regarding happenings at MIMS, a lot of information into the systems that he's already passed along yesterday in his report, so I won't go into that. MIMS keeps us updated on the status of the EMT testing and the details, and that information was presented yesterday so I won't go there. Shock trauma meets at our meeting. Becky Gilmore from Shock Trauma comes in, and they talk about the various issues happening there. Most of it has to do with construction issues, where they're closing streets, closing the parking lot, and so on during the various pieces of construction, and thanked all for the work that they're doing in helping make sure that that is being done properly. One item of business that did come up, and we did address this at the August meeting of the association, discussing the problems that we see coming about with EMTs having to recertify as National Registry EMTs, according to MIMS. Now, talking to Dr. Chismar yesterday, I might add that that is not moving forward at this time. That proposal was initially presented by the commercial ambulance group, where they wanted EMTs to go through National Registry, which would be a 2-hour process, a 40-hour process every 2 years. And then it would cost that individual to register with National Registry. The EMS committee was very opposed to this and wanted to keep it as we currently have, and had asked at the August 20th meeting that a letter be sent to MIMS regarding this. In talking with Dr. Chismar yesterday, that letter has not been received at MIMS, and I think it's important that we make sure that a letter from this association it was actually voted on and approved by the executive committee August 20th, that a letter from this association be sent to MIMS, very much opposing any type of National Registry recertification requirements for Maryland EMTs. And I ask that Mr. Chair, that you address that with the executive committee or the personnel and get that taken care of. That concludes my report.
Okay, I just looked over to the president, and he nodded that that will be taken care of.
Thank you.
Any questions for Charlie on EMS? Okay. Training committee, Teresa. And with that, Bob Cumberland, MIFRE Tech. Mike LeComte, if you want to start up, you'll be next. And Dan Stevens right after that.
Good morning. Greetings from our chairman, John DeRone. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. And our last meeting, most discussion was about the instructor program, the 2 and 3 program, and how that's been split up. And Dan was turned over to Dan's committee on MIFRE Tech, which is the standards committee, to look at that. So Dan probably would have more to talk about that than I do, but
Dan, if you want to come on up, if you have something on that, please.
Dan don't want to talk about.
Get you up here one way or another.
Yeah. That was the crux of the meeting. We will not meet in December because we had our requirement where everybody has attended their six meetings according to the to the guidelines for the commission. One thing I will bring from my personal standpoint, next year is my year to be reappointed to the commission. 4 years ago, I sent a letter to the chairman and asking not to be reappointed at that time, and he didn't. I think I've been on the commission since 1991, when I took the place of a young man from Harford County, Charlie Raleigh. So I think I've been there long enough, time to get some new blood on the commission. And I'm not sure, well, here's Dan saying no. I'm not sure what the governor will do because that appointment does come from the governor's office. But I want to let everybody know that my appointment is up in 2023. So.
You go ahead. And the high school cadet program? Okay. Bob did a good job. I think he covered everything that I would have covered. First, a fire prevention note. We've heard from a lot of folks here, water your tree. Well, Hollywood Volunteer Fire Department, on their marquee out on the Route 235, they have something that really caught my eye. It's please water your tree so we don't have to. And I think that's an excellent, but anyway, that's my fire prevention note. The high school cadet program, you all should have the report electronically, and I'll go over a couple things here. The counties are in various stages of adopting or not adopting the unfunded mandate by the State Board of Education to go to a 2-year program. And it's causing some issues, but it's the counties that are doing or had done it in the past that things are working out. My report discusses each county that I got the information on. You can read that. I'm not going to go over that. But I will say that I think the high school cadet program, career technology more specific, is the best recruitment and retention tool we've got in our toolbox. I might be prejudiced, but I've been involved in these programs for 30 years with my wife, Bobby, and we're convinced of that. We have 16 counties that have programs, plus Baltimore City, and it's somewhere around 180 students, I think, this year in the programs around the state. Department of Education has a new person working on career technology, Kelsey Williamson, who I've been in touch with. She took Tracy Vergey's place, and we're going to meet with her. It just didn't work out. Our schedules didn't work out to meet before this meeting, but we'll meet after the first of the year. We usually go to Baltimore and have a sit down with her. So she's already confirmed that will happen. Director Cox talked about the EMT pass rate yesterday with the cadet programs, and the cadet figures are taken out when they compute their own, when they compute the pass rates. But the pass rate for EMT on the high school programs, it is dismal. I guess would be the best way to put it. One of the reasons, and we're going to talk to Ms. Williamson about this, is EMT is dictated to be given in the junior year. And I can't tell you how many people, when I was going through the list of talking to people about their programs this year, have a problem with that. And some of them are educators. They're professional educators or have degrees in education, and they said it makes a lot of difference, even though it's just 1 year between the junior year and the senior year. So we'll talk to them about that. I've already talked to Tracy when she was in there, but we'll give it another shot. And some counties, particularly the ones that aren't going to a 2-year program, have switched over to EMR rather than EMT. And some counties are doing EMR the first year and then EMT the second year to see if that doesn't increase the pass rate. My observation, and this has been done before, particularly in Prince George's County, that didn't work, but let's see how it works in other counties around the state. One of the other problems...
Dan?
Yes.
I got one question in reference to that over here. You know, when we're talking about the students, because they're in school, and I understand that they're in school Monday through Friday, and they've got to account for their time. But we're asking them to take an EMT course that we don't even do that for our own adults, that they take it 2 nights a week or 3 nights a week. These guys are taking it 5 days a week, usually. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of material.
Yeah.
So, you know, you want to try to do that? I did that with a paramedic class. It's, you know, and that's twice as much. So that's a lot of information, especially when you're adding them to do all their other electives.
Well, it's interesting that, and we'll see how it works out. St. Mary's County, the school system there hired an instructor, and they only gave them 1 hour and 25 minutes a day. So it's a little less intense. And I know they've only had their Module 1 test, and they had, I think, all but one student, and I think they've got 17 students or something, all but one student passed the EMT Module 1 MIFRE test. But the MIFRE test generally is
every county tour meetings, and guess what? We're averaging 19 to 20 counties at every one of our safety meetings. You're foolish. Those of you that offer what Bob Phillips and the state's trying to do right now to engineer it in advanced life support. So we can't be in denial about it, and that would remedy a lot of it, unless you would get a sudden incident. One thing that we're trying to do in the safety meetings, the Traffic Incident Management, or TIMS, in the state of Maryland, they're getting ready. They're having some changes in person. We've got to wear vests. We've got to tell our people. I saw our new chief in Ocean City. I was at the scene of a call. It was a minor accident last summer, right after the convention, and two of our young fellows that were college students walked up without vests. The police community gets tons of training on it. They've got the assault weapons now. But the point being is, if we drive up, we've got to know where to go, where to position our vehicles, what to do, what not to do to keep the hyper people staying with your unit. And all this is going to be addressed on January the 8th, hopefully, by the state police. Randy Lithicum's already done something with MIMS on the EMS side, so the fire community is going to be getting this. And those of you who'd like to attend it, we welcome you to please be at our meeting. So it's going to be at MIMS in the training rooms. And then I might as well touch on it. We're going to go across the street. No, we're going to get training there at MIMS on the new crash responder safety, and then we're going to cross the street and tour the trauma center. And Dr. Scalia, thank you, sir. Scalia is going to have his group talk about stress management and how they deal with it. So it's going to be a little bit of timely subjects, just 3. I'll keep my mouth shut, I promise, and let them do their thing. But I'm going to let these 3 top dogs talk about timely subjects. So if you'd like to be there, I would be glad to have you. And I know that a couple of the administration have been helping me with this. I know Eric has, and hopefully we're going to address these situations where we get into back and forth at our meetings. Let the experts tell us what they want. The AFFF foam, the only thing I can say about that is, again, the easiest way to take care of it and you don't expose yourself, keep your gear not where you're breathing it all the time in the sun. Keep it in your trunk, or keep it in the firehouse. Those of us on the Eastern Shore, especially Ocean City, and most of us take our gear home with us because of the way we're laid out. But with that said, if you as officers smell it, or if it doesn't look right to you, get it washed, and make sure train them this way. When you go back from a drill, take a shower. Don't just crawl in bed, because you're exposing your families. And it's simple, and that takes care of it. The coronavirus. I want to share something with you guys. The size of Salisbury almost is how many people have died in the state of Maryland. I just got the virus on a cruise ship with some of my committee, went on a cruise, and we all ended up getting it. I did not realize, I'm still having systemic problems from it. And I had 4 shots. It is nothing to play with, number 1. Number 2, and this is really going to impact everybody. I get the Sun paper in the Daily Times. I wrote this article, and I pulled this out of the Sun paper last week and typed the report to thereports.com. In the state of Maryland, I sound like Mike Lewis, the sheriff. In the state of Maryland, we had 15,440 people had died from confirmed or probable deaths of the pandemic. I just tore this out of the paper. We have gone from that number, 15,440, in 1 week to 15,474. We've had 74 deaths in the state of Maryland in 1 week, according to the Sun paper. This is nothing to play about. We are still in a pandemic. And the issue is we're getting inoculated, like me, 4 times in different series, and yet we're still coming down with this. And if we have got cardiovascular problems or diabetes or whatever, obviously 74 more people died in 1 week. So we are still in pandemic. There's going to be times when we probably can't meet, and we need to respect the health officials when they tell us that, and that includes having fire department meetings and all like that. So just be aware of that. What Dave Lewis is doing around the state, I commend him. Thank God he has been proactive with this. And again, suicide is outnumbering the line of duty deaths. And other than heart attack and being struck by cars, that's our two major players in the deaths for firefighters. The last one I have is the fire safety officer. We are trying to train our people now in this. Every major incident, I belonged to Rockville Fire Department for about a year, and when I got reassigned up there nationwide, and they always had on a major incident or second alarm or even something came in, they had a safety officer respond. And I often thought that was kind of foolish, but bottom line is I just played the game. But the point being is this: you guys that are command people out there, a safety officer is an extra eyes and ears for you, and we are in a different environment than we used to be. We're not seeing the major fires that we see, but we still got old buildings that can collapse. We've got firefighters out in the street. We've got tanker operations. We used to get 3 and 4 fire trucks at the scene of a fire. Now we get 16 or 18 fire trucks. The point being is we all coagulate together, and then we've got to move around, and we've got to hook hoses up, we've got to do this and do that, and you got the fire police out there with inattentive drivers. We're in a whole different defense zone. So with that said, we need to have a safety officer at the scene of a major incident, whether it's a car accident, major incident, or a fire, or a hazmat, or whatever. If you've got numerous companies coming, every command vehicle and chief's vehicle should have a safety officer vest in it, and that incident commander or somebody gives that vest to that guy, and he is doing 360s, and he's looking for instance, wires dropping, he's looking for issues in the road, and all the stuff that we're dealing with that's causing losses or causing incidents. And I talked to Mario Melfa, who isn't here today, and he agreed with me 100% with workers' comp claims in the state of Maryland. So we need to think that way. We've got to have safety officers on major events, and we talk about what they do, and I've got that. The last thing I have is the incident action plan. A lot of these career chiefs now, and those of us that go to the fire academy and all, realize that we've got to critique our incidents, good and bad, what's wrong, what's good, what's wrong. And in that, if you read it, I just read one from Richie Bowers the other day on an old one. I went and took them and read them for the safety committee. They really don't interview anybody with the safety side of it, and they don't talk about outside of the perimeter of the fire zone, the hot zone, if you will. It's all about the hot zone. We've got to start thinking about that. We've got to start thinking about how long it took Delmarva Power to arrive, any incidents, the cop shop incidents, traffic, fire police, but all that should be incorporated in these action plans, these post or whatever they call them, the after action plan, incident after action plan. But we really should have, those of you that are involved in it, you should pull a designated safety person into that, and he should be part of the critique. You will learn from it. You will learn from it. So with that, I welcome you all to come to our meeting on January the 8th at MIMS headquarters. We're going to meet on Pratt Street first. I'll put something out about it, and then we're going to cover the two major incidents that came about, the active shooter hot zone, and the state police have got one person doing that now. By the way, he will come to your different departments and talk. And also our new person for contact with Tim's with Maryland DOT, and he will also come to your fire police meetings and county meetings. And then we're going across the street, Dr. Scalia's top nurses are going to talk about how they handle stress. And so it should be some real good stuff here. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for safety?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to touch, I don't want to dwell on what he did, because there's a lot of good information that just came out from the three gentlemen sitting here this morning. You know, I think for us as EMS providers, one thing, and let me put my trooper hat on, is that when we're responding to these active shooters, we need to like pump the brakes and slow down, because my mode is I'm going to go in and I'm going to help eliminate that threat. You know, I need the fire and EMS to come and do our thing as we normally do. But rushing in, you know, sometimes, and I tell my own providers at my own station, is that unless law enforcement tells you to enter into that area while they're trying to isolate a threat, because you have no idea where these individuals are, you need to stage. So let's start there and just pump the brakes, slow down, and stage and listen. You know, as far as our folks out on the road, we need to be wearing a vest. Everybody thinks that just because we have our turnout gear that that's enough of a reflective material, and it's not. Until you're right up on someone, you're not going to see it. And the majority of the folks on the highways are concerned with the radios and eating or whatever, that they're going to drive to your lights. Especially an intoxicated or inebriated person, they think that's part of their roadway, and they're driving to the lights. So, you know, because they think that's part of the roadway. So we really do need to slow down and pay attention, especially our fire police. I certainly want to make sure that those folks are going through the TIMS or the charts or whatever we're doing, that they have that information. And really everyone in this room, if we're out on a scene, we should be taking that curriculum. So we need to start there, especially as presidents and chief officers. We need to be educating our own folks to get our own people into those classes. So it starts at the top.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Bob, and
Yeah,
Mike, he'll give it to you.
To follow up with what the first vice president talked about, through Cumberland Valley and Responder Safety Institute, we now have 45 training videos, and out of those 45, 10 of them have been approved by Federal Highway. We work with Federal Highway and got them approved to get your TIMS training. I would recommend everybody take those 10 courses and get your TIMS training, so Maryland can increase the number of TIMS trained people in the state. That's what DOT, MDOT's working on. They want to get 100% of the people on the highway trained to the TIMS training, and that was what Pat Rooney was trying to do. These programs are only like 45-minute programs. You can do it wherever you are and whenever you want to do it, and you get the 2 certificates. You get one from us as Responder Safety, and you'll get one from Federal Highway that you have completed the TIMS training. And you can get LoSAP points because it goes for training.
Well, and that's what I said. You got LoSAP points, and then, you know, I think maybe we can talk with Mims and Mark and, and add that into a Con Ed as well.
Well, 24 of those have been, and for many years, those 24 have been Con Ed training.
So we'll follow up with that part and make sure that that's accredited.
Joe Crowbeth from Halfway has been working on that with our state to get the others up to date. When we first come out, I worked with MIMS, and we got the first 24 Con Ed that you could get that, but we hadn't kept up with that. So there is still Con Ed, and in those 24, I think, is where your 10 TIMS training certificates are also. The other thing, through Responder Safety, we're doing 2 studies right now. One, we have working with a retired firefighter in Texas for helmets specially designed for fire police, so they don't have to wear the heavy helmets or just the construction type helmets when they're on the highway. The second study we're doing, because we found out that one of the things that are drawing the vehicles into hitting us are the lights. Let's face it, the old lights that we used to use didn't have the output that the new LED lights have. And in this study so far, we've seen that the lights overshadow the chevrons on the back of your trucks. So we're working on with the manufacturers to get that reduced. And I know that the manufacturers has the capability of doing it, because some of our vehicles already have them on there where you can reduce the amount of candle power that they are putting out when you're on the scene. So those 2 things are going on right now. We're continuously working to protect our people on the highway. And Eric and I agree with you 100%. Our biggest Our biggest problem right now on the highway are two. One is towers don't want to wear the vest, and the second one, unfortunately, our law enforcement officers don't want to wear their vests when they're out on the highway. I mean, I see that everywhere I go. It's not only in the state of Maryland, it's everywhere. Fortunate enough, we had 3 people, Dave Lewis, Doug DeHaven from Hagerstown, myself, 2 weeks ago was at the Balmer Convention Center with the towers, and we're starting to work with them to educate them about what we have been doing through Cumberland Valley and responder safety. Because they're along with the law enforcement that I showed you yesterday are the 2 major ones that are getting struck and are getting killed on our highway right today. So those are the ones we're working with right now. I mean, 9 of our fire and EMS people have been struck, and as Bob told me yesterday, we're sitting there, that's almost 20% of the ones that, you know, that have been killed. It's 20% of our people. So we got a lot of work to do in our own house, and we started there. But that just bring you up to date on that.
Okay. Mike?
Tell them how you address that.
Well, I did that yesterday. The only thing I would
That's been
ask.
covered. Let's go to new material, please.
The only thing I would ask is pick up them cards so you can get their website.
Okay.
The only thing
New material.
Yeah, the only thing I just want to share with you all is this. A lot of people don't know this, but being a safety guy, insurance company, if you ask somebody to do a task, and that's including the fire ground, and Mario and I talk a lot because he has to analyze accidents to try to keep the losses down. If you ask somebody to do a task, and you're the officer, incident commander, or chief, you must train them ahead of time. You cannot assume, and Director Cox and I have talked about this, you cannot assume that person knows what to do. I'll give you an example. A brand new person jumps on your fire truck full of piss and vinegar, and you run down the road to an accident on 301, and you get out and he's got nothing to do because he really can't do a whole lot. And the only thing he's got is a vest. And you say, okay, go down there and direct traffic. You can't do that because that man has not been trained what to do. And he can get you and everybody else hurt. So no matter what it is, you ask him to drag a 3-inch line to a tanker and hook it up. You've got to train these people before they get out there and do anything. If you don't, you're going to have a loss. So with that said, it's enough. So.
Past President Lewis.
Just briefly to add, relative to the incident safety officer and the need for that, that's a basic requirement in NFPA 1500, which is our guideline for health and safety, that you must have an incident safety officer. I just conducted last weekend the National Fire Academy version of the incident safety officer class for MIFRE. Had 9 students. I wish I had 3 times that many. A lot of them had never heard of traffic incident management, which was kind of surprising to me. But again, they're kind of there. And then again, MIFRE's just revised the Fire Department Incident Safety Officer class, which will roll out in January, which I'm also teaching one of those up in Howard County, starting late January. So the training's out there that people need to make sure that they do that. Relative traffic incident management, MIFRE has a 4-hour traffic incident management class. Unfortunately, the regional offices get their requests from the departments in the region, and apparently nobody requested because that course is offered very slim. So maybe that's a message that Steve can take back, that maybe we need to advocate that more, even if the regional departments don't ask it for, get it on the schedule in each region, so that traffic incident management, because 8 to 9 responders dying on the highways should be just unacceptable to every one of us.
Any questions? Any other comments?
I hate to keep going.
As long as it's new material.
It is.
Because
just this week.
We understand your passion very, very much. Your passion, but you don't have to tell us 3 and 4 times.
No.
Okay?
Just this week. 1091, which is the standard for traffic control personnel on the highway, the new NFPA standard revised has come out. So anybody wants to see that, go to NFPA, and 1091 is the standard for traffic incident management.
I had a question that was thrown at me, and this directs to Chief Phillips. The legislative committee, some of the smaller departments are saying, what can we do with this old foam? I would venture to say there's several thousand gallons of old AFFF foam out there. and they've been told not to use it, or they're trying to replace it because of budgets they can't. So what's the legislature doing right now currently on trying to replace this phone?
This past year, the MDE was tasked with it. They have got money allocated. I think it was $500,000 this year. If you call them, they will come take it off your hands. They will not pay you for it. We were after a program where they would buy it back from you at your last invoice or a fixed rate. Couldn't find the money for that, but they will come pick it up from you and they will dispose of it. It costs you nothing to do that. And then you'll have to replace it with, I think it's National Gold or National Green, one or the other now.
Yeah.
That's the best we could get out of the legislature last year.
Okay, so they're not replacing it, they're just taking it.
They're just removing it. Yeah, they're removing it, and they are taking care of the destruction of it.
Okay.
If you have to destroy it, I mean, we've had prices anywhere from, and let's just say $25 a gallon up to over $1,000 a gallon to get rid of it. The state will come recover it from you. They will take care of it.
Thank you.
Answer?
Good one.
Any other questions or discussion? Also, Safety Committee, I don't know if you were here yesterday. I know for the past 3 or 4 years, Safety Committee has requested shirts. And
I did hear.
You did hear? Okay. We did pass that as long as you sell the equal amount of raffle tickets, then the committee can get. Okay?
I'll take it.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Rural water supply, Steve Barry here? No? Okay. Standards, Ken? Okay. Okay. Secretary Cox?
Guys, know you're in trouble now, right?
Thanks a lot, Roger. Anyway, yesterday, after Doug threw me under the bus and Tim threw me under the bus and ran over us, backed up, ran over us again, and probably about the fourth time we finally got out from under it. But afterwards, Rich and I had a session in the hallway, reference to the computers, voting, and so it's all his.
So there was a lot of discussion about we're going to buy an app, this person's going to write it, that person's going to write it. This has been something we had talked about since the convention. Rick Hemphill is going to be writing the application. It's being written by Rick because we want to make sure it's simple. Rick, I know, writes really good code. The requirements, after all the conversation yesterday that I discussed with Rick last night, and most of them we had already talked about, but basically what we expect to have happen is that your constituents will come up to the voting judges and say, I'm such and such from such and such a company and I'm here to vote. And we'll point him to a computer or her to a computer. They will be met with a screen that has a list of counties. They'll click on their county. It'll bring up the list of companies in that county. They'll click on the company. It will bring up a list of the delegates and the alternates. They will click on whoever they are, and it will bring up the ballot for them. When they clicked on who they are, it's going to take their picture. It's just going to store that picture away. They're going to vote. When they have completed the ballot,
they will get a screen that says, these are the votes you're casting. Is this okay? You know you could still vote X number of votes. What I really wasn't aware of was that Rick told me last night, and Doyle confirmed, a lot of the companies will come in, they'll vote for 1 or 2 officers, and they won't cast any ballots for anything else, even though they're given 5 votes for every item on the ballot, they won't cast them. So basically we're going to say, you know, you can vote for these items you haven't voted for, and if they say, I know, I don't care, okay, your ballot's been cast, your company's name comes off the list. Now, if somebody comes in later on and says, my company's name isn't on the list and I'm here to vote for them, we're going to hand them a copy of the picture and say, that's the person that voted for your company. You need to go deal with that. And if you need our help with the police, we'll be happy to do that if it's fraud. And it's simple. And nobody has to type. Nobody has to know their email address. Nobody has to do anything except point and click, which should make it very quick, very simple. And if there's a problem, we can deal with the problem. And I hope that solves everybody's concerns. The other thing that I told Rick is, it's yes or no. Either you vote yes or you vote no. And if you don't vote at all, that's okay, right? You don't have to vote. We don't require the vote. But it will be, every ballot issue has to be set up so that you're voting yes or no. Doesn't matter what it is. Does that solve everybody's concerns?
Did you reiterate that we have a January 15th date?
Actually, Rick and I are trying to do it, trying to get something together for you to show a functional thing. Rick said he would try and get that done by January 1st. I don't know that it's going to get done because it's still a complex app.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I have committed to call a special executive committee meeting so that the president can move on.
Okay.
And January 15th is the date.
I will let Rick know that we need to have something ready to show you all by the 15th. I actually have to rent him one of the computers that we're going to use in June to do the development on, because of the grabbing the picture piece that can be computer specific. So I got to get that done, and I'll have that probably rented and sent to him by the end of the next week. So.
Teresa?
I have a question. So you said everything would have to be yes or no.
Right.
How is that going to work? I'm just going to use the name change. If there's 5 different names people pick, they're going to go through and pick yes or no for each one, because that's going to confuse people.
And so, as I said to Doyle, and I really liked Gene Worthington's idea yesterday, do you want to change the name of the MSFA? Yes or no? Right? If the votes come back yes, then the executive committee should come back and say, we're going to change the name to this.
Okay, but even if, as we go on, what if it's not the name change?
We can't do, cascading voting is kind of silly. But if you want to do four different names and have everybody vote yes or no for 4 different names, and the one that comes out with the highest count and meets the requirement for changing the bylaws, that works. I don't know how else I would do that in a logical manner, right? When I say logical, I'm talking about computer logic. It's yes or no. But honestly, Gene's idea was great, because you extend that idea. If they say, yeah, we want to change the name, you can make it anything you want if you just do a DBA. I mean, you don't have to change the bylaws and constitution. You say, we're the MSFA, doing business as, and that becomes what name you use for this organization. And you've made it easy. If the membership says, no, we don't want to change the name, then it just stays where it is. But however we do it, if you want to have 4 different names in the ballot, you say, do you like this name? Yes or no? And we take the vote counts and give them back to you. And if one of them comes up with 2/3 of a majority with yes, then you've changed the name.
I see where you're coming from. I just don't think it's going to solve the problem.
The other way you can do this, and you've already said it's not going to be a fast process, is say, we want to change the name to this. Do you like it or not? Next year, if it doesn't pass, you put another name in. And you continue to do that until you get where you want to be.
I'm not talking about just the name. I'm not talking about just the name. I use that as an example. But over time, if other things come up where there's more than one option, I think it's going to cause, it shouldn't cause confusion, but I think it's going to cause problems.
Teresa, we can always work on technical issues, but honestly, in an application like this, we're not, we're looking for binary answers. I don't. If you want to say you have 4 different choices, the problem you've got is that you need if it's a bylaw change, you've got a 2/3 majority that's required. And so if you've got 4 different answers, you're splitting the votes across 4 things. You're not likely to get a 2/3 majority on any one of them unless it's something everybody loves. So you really need to bring it down to, we've got a recommendation. Do you like it or not? If you don't like it, if it doesn't get 2/3 majority, then you come back the next year with another one. Or if you want, do a second ballot. And the nice thing about the app that Rick and I have in mind is that he can quickly add or delete, change, choices fast, or change, what's being asked for.
Want to ask the parliamentarian, you've been listening to the conversation, and I know we needed clarification last year. For clarification, please.
I was just going to give you a point of order, Mr. Chairman, and we all can stay in our lanes. We drifted from, what did you call it, a binary resolution, back into the name change, and I heard DBAs, and that's not where we are. You have a task force. Teresa Chrisman has guidance and bringing things forward so that you have those response. And while I'd love to stay here, because I'm here until tomorrow, if you want to continue this dialogue till 5 o'clock, I'm all in. I was just giving you a point of order.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's why I recognized you. First Vice President.
I think you guys have recognized that we got an issue. You're working on a problem. We've got until the 15th to come up with a resolution to at least give us a template. Let's start there and see what we have to move the process forward, because we don't want to be here all day. And Teresa, I certainly respect what you're saying, but we've got to at least get the process moving so that we know what the template is going to look like. That was the main request when we go in. So electronically, let's get that program done, whether you get it done early or you get it done by the deadline, it doesn't matter. Just let's make sure we have something that's a workable format that we can at least see to take it to the next step. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. We're going to break for lunch at 11. In the meantime, if we can do the resource management branch. Anything from MDM?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Go ahead.
One other thing under the information technology branch, you can indulge me for a minute.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I spoke with Chris May yesterday. He doesn't have a major report. He wants to express appreciation for the new trailer. He is in the process of getting that wrapped, or prices to get that wrapped. Also, he will be obtaining surplus AV equipment that we need from MIMS at no cost. It's surplus at MIMS, they're getting rid of it. He's going to be obtaining some equipment for the association from that source. That's
Okay.
2 items he wanted me to bring up. Thank you.
Okay. Sandy, come on up.
I want to thank everyone for their donation. The winner today gets $143, which is not bad. Your number is, back over. Gotta watch him every minute. The number is 6511253. Oh, Mr. Block.
Can we have a chaplain? Donation was made to Bessie Marshall. Thank you. Chaplain Roth.
Shall we pray? Lord, we thank you for this day, your love and mercy to us. We ask now that you would bless this food that we are partaking of, that you would bless those who prepared it and those who continue to enjoy this time together. Continue to guide us and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
At this point, we'll break for lunch and come back at noon.
What are you going to do? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I figure with the committees that we've got to go over, we'll come back at noon, we'll be done for the round table by 12:30, 1 will be out of here. Unless the first vice president chimes in. I said unless the first vice president chimes in. Constitution and bylaws, Doug Ware. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. President, officers, and members. My name is Doug Ware. I'm the committee chair of the Constitution and Bylaws, this organization. I've submitted my report. First of all, I'd like to reference the Maryland State Fire Association's weekly report for County Association and Partners week ending July 22nd this year. Quote, President Kurtz has asked that the name change proposals be submitted until after January 1st. I am to comply within my report. I have contacted our Constitution and Bylaws Committee members by the telephone. I have contacted each member, and as of this date, there are no recommendations or submissions to our Constitution and Bylaws. As a reminder, any bylaws to amend must be submitted by March 1st, 2023, 45 days prior to the convention. However, I have been verbally notified that there will be a bylaw change coming forthwith February 2023. That concludes my report.
Okay, just 1 second. Also, the time period, the president extended that to January 20th.
Correct.
Asking none to be submitted until after that date, until we have the opportunity to look at the other issues.
Correct.
Chair recognizes Chip Jewell.
As you may be aware, last year there was a bylaw submitted by Washington County for adding an additional executive committee for every county.
Yes.
Both counties are looking this year. It'll probably be a motion of each county after first year. A bylaw change will be submitted, simply adding one additional executive committee member to split the two counties for a lot of various reasons. Both counties are bigger than some of the present membership on the executive committee. 52 members for one representative. It's just a logistical problem, but we meet the same nights, and we actually submitted this about 20 years ago, and it almost passed. I think it was 62% and needed 66%. So there's a lot of logic to it. And like I said, with respect to the size of the membership for one representative is an issue. So there will be probably, if both counties after first year at their respective meetings endorse it, probably will be a change requested to add one member to the executive committee and one member to the board of review.
Understood. When I receive notification on the station's letterhead, I am committed, or our committee is committed, to forward that suggestion, recommendation at the convention. Once I receive it, that's it. There's no changes. Okay.
Any other questions or clarifications? Discussion? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Randy, go ahead.
Just to clarify, we move back for January 1st or January 20th.
Yes. President did that yesterday. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Past President Lewis, Grant.
Thank you. A report was submitted electronically. I just want to highlight a few things for you relative to the big three FEMA grants, AFG, SAFER, and FP&S. Fiscal year 21 funding was fully allocated by the end of September. We did have 22 awards in Maryland under AFG, two and SAFER, none under FP&S, at least for departments. There were some organizational ones. Those funds would have expired September 30th, so all that was out there. But what that left behind was a big pot of money. There was an additional $100 million that went to AFG, 90 in AFG, 10 in FP&S, and then $200 million into SAFER. Our lovely federal government, when October 1st went, they basically swept the books and basically took away the spending authority away from FEMA. And so they've been wrestling to get that funds restored, because those ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, were still available to be spent. I've been in contact. In fact, I talked to Kathy Patterson on Friday, and they just recently got those funds restored. They're waiting to get the FEMA Go points put in there so that they can immediately start. So you should be seeing some awards come out based on the ARPA funding, because I know we had a large number of applications in AFG, so hopefully our numbers will go higher than the 22. As mentioned yesterday during the federal legislation thing, we have been pushing hard for the reauthorization. Whether that will get through the lame duck Congress or not, but we certainly wanted to push that there to get that, because otherwise at the end of calendar year 2024 those funds would sunset, and we don't want to see that happen. So we'll definitely get that through, hopefully the next congressional action. Again, talking to Kathy and I had that back and forth. She's called me a couple of times asking me what I felt was the best way to do that, because if we have let's just say 130 departments, I don't know what the number, don't quote me on that number, of departments in Maryland, and we had 22 awards. where does that leave the other, 100 or so that don't know where they're at? And we need to get the FY22 process started, even though we're already in FY23. The grant program is over a year behind, unfortunately, because of our federal government bureaucracy and things are going on like that. So we expect that the mass of the turn-down letters will go out next week. And that was the information I got from her on Friday. What it basically says, if you scored so low you don't have hell's chance of getting funded, your turn-down letter will go next week. That'll immediately tell you, rework it for FY22 process, which will start in January. There'll be some that'll be held in limbo that basically probably will get some kind of letter that says you may be funded in the ARPA funding. And again, it depends on how you scored on there, at what point they run out of that money. So either way, if you're in limbo, and depending on what letter or no letter you get next week, I would encourage you to begin planning for the FY22 because you don't have an award in your hand. So we expect that process will begin in January. Everything's kind of getting in lined up. FEMA Go continues to be a struggle and a problem, but we're working through that. So please begin to that. Once we know the application period, we'll probably schedule a set of Zoom webinars rather than try to do the in-person conferences. It's just logistically easier there in order to kind of give people the update there on. So don't hold out hope, but again, the ARPA money should be cut loose within the next week or so, as long as they get FEMA Go to get the right buttons available for Kathy to push go.
Okay. Chip Jewell.
Just a general comment on sam.gov. They keep making it more and more difficult every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the problem we have at Liberty Town. We do not have mail delivery. We have to have a post office box.
Absolutely.
They will not accept the post office box, and
Absolutely.
the post office won't deliver the mail with the street address.
Right.
So I've put it in with the post office box, sent them our original charter, which is long before we ever had house numbers, obviously, and put the notation of the street address. And as of today, they still haven't accepted our renewal.
That's a big problem. We went through that with the National Volunteer Fire Council because we gave up our offices in Greenbelt, and we basically have it has a street technically has a street address, but it is a PO box in D.C. where we get our mail. And they tried to change that, and Sam wouldn't let them. And finally, they just had to leave the address in Sam as the Greenbelt address, even though we don't get mail there. So it's a problem. All 9 fire service organizations have kind of got together. Well, we did this after the last peer criteria development meeting, and are articulating a strong letter to Big FEMA, which is above the Grants Program Office, and DHS that says FEMA Go and SAM are worst thing you ever did.
Yep.
FEMA Go, all the stuff in FEMA Go hasn't even been coded yet. Yeah. And I sometimes I equate it like driving across a bridge that they're building one plank at a time. And you got to stop at certain points or else you're going over the edge. And it's just been a mess.
Well, the other thing Sam does, they create more work for themselves every year because I thought I'd get ahead of the game and do it a couple months in advance. So now I have to renew it a couple months in advance. So it keeps it moving back. The earlier you try to do it, the more it keeps pushing it back.
Oh, we
So
also
it's
thought it was
crazy.
going to be easier because they got rid of the DUNS number. So, oh man, that's
Yeah,
going to make it easier.
they did do that.
Well, when they did, they modified SAM and made SAM a bigger mess than when you had to do DUNS and SAM together. So,
Yeah, so like I said, I'm still waiting to see if
understand your
they'll accept
issues.
the street address.
We're actually through the National Volunteer Fire Council are fighting and working that issue.
Thank you. 'Cause it's in the application. It's in the comments section of why. And of course, the original, they want the original charters and such. And of course, there's no street addresses there whatsoever.
Right.
So we're caught.
Yeah.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant of Arms, Laura Wood. Laura, please come up to the mic. We couldn't hear you. Richard will show you directions.
Where's your sign? Where's your sign to make you official?
And talking to the microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you want to state your name?
Laura Woods.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to tell everybody how delightful it was this weekend. Everybody kind of behaved themselves, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for your service.
It's okay. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Awards, Lee. I know Doyle said he was going to take off. Do you have anything under awards? How about Firefighter of the Year? How about Hall of Fame? Bobby Jacobs, anything? Robert Scheimer, Awards Subcommittee? Okay. According to my list, that's all the committees. Are there any committees that I missed? Any committees that I missed? Hearing none, is there any old business to come before the group? Any old business? Last call, any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Any new business? We'll go with reports from executive committee members, and I'll start with Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On a good of the order note, you may have noticed in the last weekly newsletters from the MSFA a paragraph in there about an insurance program for individual benefits and cancer testing. If there's any questions on that, I have information here. We can talk after the meeting adjourns. I don't want to hold everybody up now, but I have that information with you, and we'll be around if anyone wants the information. So, on behalf of the Anne Arundel County Volunteer Firefighters Association and President Joe Larson, I wish everyone present, the executive committee, the officers, all a Merry Christmas and a safe, Happy New Year. I want to thank Showell Fire Department for their gracious hospitality this weekend. It's been a great place, a great meeting, and we appreciate it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Southern Maryland?
Yes, we bring you greetings from Southern Maryland. We want to also echo our thanks for Showell for hosting us this weekend and everybody that attended. We wish everyone safe travel going home and wish you a great holiday. We do want to sadly submit that a longtime member and past president of North Beach Volunteer Fire Department passed away Friday, Robert Bobby Allen. So we don't have any information right now, but when I talked to his wife yesterday, she said they were going to the funeral home tomorrow. So the information is to come about his services. Thank you.
Thank you. Baltimore County?
Thank you, sir. Bus driver here. Happy holidays to everyone. It's a very special time of the year for family and friends to get together and reminisce and have fun and eat. Eat. Greetings from our president and the fire chief. We're progressing well. Our responses have almost, I don't want to say quite yet doubled, but we're approaching that. And the cooperation between the career department and the Baltimore County Volunteer Fire Service is notwithstanding. We are up to the challenge, and we're going to make it happen. And to those who came up to me and offered their condolences and everything for a 37-year-old member that we lost this past week, one of our closest engine drivers who responded from home. Thank you. We appreciate it. And God bless, and everybody, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Allegheny Garrett.
Greetings from Allegheny Garrett and President Christner, Vice President Dayton. He was here yesterday. If you're bored next Sunday and you want to drive out to Western Maryland and see if it's going to snow, the association meeting will be in Orleans, so you just kind of come into the county before you see whether it's going to snow or not. Thank you to Showell for the hospitality of the weekend. Great weekend. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone, and be safe.
The 4 Upper Shore.
3 Upper Shore, I guess, isn't it? Kent, Queen Anne's, Carolina.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Talbot also.
No,
but
that's Mr. Phillips over there.
Sorry about that. My bus.
Well, he can take it, yeah.
My bus.
Just greetings from the Kent, Queen Anne's, and Carolina counties. Thanks for the weekend to Showell. Another nice hospitality weekend, and I hope everyone has a happy holiday. And as we go forward, just make sure we're doing the right business of the association. I think we're on the right track. So great meeting, and thanks a lot.
Past President.
I'd like to thank everybody for their condolences for the passing of my father and those that came out and attended his funeral, or his memorial service. Much appreciated. Barb and I would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous, and safe New Year.
Midshore.
We would be the middle two. Greetings from Dorchester and Talbot. Dorchester has a county association meeting tomorrow night, and Talbot County, their association meeting's on December the 14th. That'll be in Cordova. An update on Richard Smith. I talk with Richard on about a daily basis, maybe not every day, but I did see him this past week. His spirits are high. He's looking at this like this is just one of those things that happen in life. And he's very, very positive about it. His doctors are very positive about it. There was a report that went out in Talbot County about, and someone may have read it, because I know it was in print there for a while, that he had 3 weeks to live. I called and talked to him. He said, hell no, I ain't got 3 weeks to live. I got a lot more than that. So he is doing well. He thought that was kind of funny, but he said, get it out. No, I'm still living. This past week he did go. He's having chemotherapy. He went and had his port put in. Everything's working so far with that. He starts his treatments tomorrow. It's a 2-week cycle in his treatments. He goes in on Mondays, gets a treatment, then he has a pump that continues the treatment for 2 more days after that. And then it cycles back 2 weeks later, starting on a Monday. So this is to be a 5 or 6 treatment cycle. So he'll be doing this for some time now. He's up every day. He's moving around. He's eating. And he does welcome phone calls. You give him a call, he will talk to you. If he's busy, he'll call you back. That I can guarantee you. So he just wanted to let everybody know, he's doing well. Give him a call. He'll be glad to talk to you. I want to thank Showell for their hospitality. It's been very nice down here this weekend. Wonderful weather so far, that's for sure. And in closing, just Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Prince George.
Good afternoon, everyone. I bring you greetings from President Jeremy Jordan of Prince George's County. Not a whole lot going on. We just completed our pretty successful 100th annual convention for Prince George's County in September. We also just had our special tribute. We did that in October. The committees will be gathering together after the first of the year to begin planning for the next convention and the next tribute. I'd like to thank Showell for everything they've done for us this weekend. They're very grateful for their hospitality, and I wish all of you all happy holidays.
Thank you. Howard and Carol.
Thank you. I bring you greetings from Carroll and Howard County. I'd like to thank Showell also for their hospitality this weekend. And we would like to wish everyone a safe trip home today and a very Merry Christmas and a healthy and Happy New Year.
Lower Shore.
That you skip.
That's where we are.
I'll go pass that off to Chip. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming here for the weekend, and hope you enjoyed yourself in Ocean City and in Worcester County. And on behalf of Worcester County, Wacomico, and Somerset counties, we wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and would like to thank Showell for hospitality this weekend. Thank you.
Frederick, Washington.
And on behalf of Frederick County and Washington County, certainly wish everybody happy holidays as well and Merry Christmas. Appreciate Showell's hospitality. Washington County's next meeting is scheduled to be in Hancock, which isn't too far from Orleans, so you can hop over the mountain and see both the firehouses. On December 15th, Frederick County will be meeting on the 17th of January. We meet every other month. And a little bit of joke, my mom's from Snow Hills. I've been getting aggravation because I'm one of us, as I've been told, from the Eastern Shore, because my mother's from Snow Hills. So, so there's aggravation. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and have a happy holiday.
From Hartford Cecil, the Hartford County and Cecil County organizations have been meeting regularly. Hartford Cecil has met. They fortunately now have a new president, Robbie Mueller from Singerly, and Joe Price from Bel Air as the vice president. I'd like to thank Showell for the hospitality this weekend. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you, the audience that have been here in attendance, the respect that you've paid for the reports that have been presented, the discussion. I think this particular weekend is one of the weekends that I can't remember where the audience has been quiet and attentive as you have been this weekend. And I certainly appreciate that, and thank you. Happy holidays to everyone, and uh-oh, I'm getting a signal. Okay. The president did that, but again, thank you for the reception, and Hartford Cecil will be doing reception at the next executive committee meeting, and I think that's it. Is there any good of the order before I go to the president?
Oh, relax.
Yes.
So good of the order. This falls in line of taking care of our own. Chip Riley, Charlie Riley's son, Chip, has had a tremendous struggle for the past several months. 2 months on a ventilator at Upper Chesapeake Hospital. And here's where the complication starts. There was no bed to rehab him on a ventilator. So the only place they could get him was Memorial Rehabilitation in York, Pennsylvania. Now you're out of the system, right? Out of the Maryland system. So when they wanted to get rid of him, the options were not the best. We reached out to Dr. Chismar and to Senator Gallion. Chip is now residing in Kernan Rehabilitation Center, where I anticipate he'll be there for a while. He hasn't walked in 3 months, so his legs are, somewhat depleted. The physicians made it very clear. This is Guillain-Barré syndrome. The physicians made it very clear. If he was not in top physical condition that he was, we wouldn't be worrying about this anymore. So he's there. If you get a chance to drop a card, just send it to Chip Riley at Kernan, and he'll get it. So I thought you all would like it. Chip does a tremendous amount of work for us. The Riley Foundation this year gave out $35,000 in scholarships to not only the young high schoolers, but to the fire service. So I thought you all would like to know that.
Thank you. Past President Bilger.
Just greetings from Mr. Jim Brown. You all know he is retired. He now lives in Delaware. I informed him of this weekend's meeting, but unfortunately he was teaching yesterday and today he had something with the grandchildren. But he wanted to wish everybody a safe, happy new year. And he appreciates everything that people have done for him over his years at MEMS. And again, he just was sorry he couldn't be here this weekend to talk to people in person. I will tell you that he tried out pickleball and ended up getting injured, so he's not playing pickleball anymore.
Thank you. Anything else good of the order? Hearing none, we'll move to the President. Second Vice President.
As always, Mr. Chairman, it's a pleasure to be involved with this group, both the Executive Committee and the people that are sitting in the audience. As I've said numerous times, it's not your association and it's not our association up here. It's their association. And without them, you know, non-existent. And the support that's shown today out there is unbelievable. I'm proud of Showell, the brothers and sisters in it, of what they did for us today. And it's just a good feeling. Just a good feeling. Yeah. And Chip, you are one of us. You might not want to admit it, but you're one of us. Your mama come from Snow Hill, so you're one of us. You know. To everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, safe New Year. Take care of yourself. Remember what the various members have said with regard to mental health. It's a lousy season if you've got a little bit bothered you. It just sort of compounds and gets there. If you know somebody that doesn't have family or friends, invite them over. Invite them to participate so they can be. We need it. Again, thank you. God bless.
Ladies, Junior Vice President, any comments?
Just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
First, when you decide where the mic's going to end up, do you,
Wait a minute. Have you said anything?
No, we had to go to the, what are you supposed to do, this way or what?
see, I threw you a
Who would
curveball.
you like me to give this to?
Not me anymore.
Okay. First Vice President Smothers.
Go back to there.
I'm just watching this. This is.
Hey,
I'm just trying to confuse you.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, folks that reached out to me after my mishap that I had here a week ago. I appreciate your concerns and phone calls and admiration, so that it really means a lot. So when we talk about crisis management, you guys are right on top of it and doing the right stuff, and that's what we do. You know, I will be seeking the office of president here come next year. Yeah, I'm kicking you to the curb. I figure I better make that announcement now, so you're on the way out already. So I appreciate your help and support there. I appreciate certainly the hospitality from the membership here at Showell this weekend over the last couple of days. Ocean City Fire Department for the hospitality house. It goes on saying that the members here make MSFA grow. The leadership team sitting out here before us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Committee chairs. And the folks that are sitting on our committee. So when we're looking for folks that want something to do, look for the next generation of folks behind you. We are that catalyst to help folks move forward. So when they look for something to do, point them to our committee. We've got plenty of room. Be glad to have you. But on the other side, as we come into the holiday season, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Be safe in your travels, and we'll see you after the first of the year.
Senior Vice President, ladies.
No, you don't need.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I have laryngitis. Happy holidays to everyone and safe travels.
Okay, now get back this way.
Ladies President.
Dang. I'd like to thank for the hospitality that we had this weekend. I also like to thank my officers and past presidents that have been here today, this weekend, and happy holidays to everyone. Thank you.
And you're wondering why the musical mics and all. I learned a long time ago, the president of the organization speaks first and speaks last. That's why you spoke first for the ladies and last for the ladies. President Kurtz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number one, I want to thank President Dave Smart and the Showell Fire Company. I think they did an outstanding job for hosting us this weekend. Once again, Roger, and to the President of Ocean City Fire Department, thank you for Stations 5, for the hospitality room that we had. It sure beats paying $350 at the courtyard and $30 a head, you know, that they wanted to charge us for having a reception because we couldn't bring outside food into the hotel. So I called Roger. I said, Roger, help me. And they came through, and of course Hartford Cecil came through with that. I want to remind everybody, you should have gotten your invitations. I went around this weekend, but on behalf of Malia and I, the annual MSFA and LA MSFA Christmas party will be held Sunday, December the 18th, and that's from 1 to 4 p.m. at Jarrettsville. So please come out and have a good time. We'll have food and beverages there. Our next meeting will be at Prince Frederick in Calvert County. Doyle has set up hotel accommodations. We'll be staying at the Quality Inn at Solomon's, and that is $89 a night. And you want to mention for the code, are you ready for this? Doyle / firefighters. Okay, that's the discount code is Doyle / firefighters to get your discount. Unfortunately, it's like everything else. We tried. I mean, you got the Holiday Inn Express right across from Prince Frederick, and then you got the I believe the Fairfield just over where 24 is. And they didn't want to cut you a break. They wanted to charge you $150 a night, even with a block of 25, 30 rooms. You know what I'm saying? It's just outrageous. But I appreciate Doyle's presence of finding us a hotel with decent accommodations. To the executive committee, thank you. To each and every one, the officers, the committee chairs, and everybody. We are a team. We work together. Everything that we discussed this weekend, sometimes it got hot, but let's face it, we're all passionate of why we are here. We wouldn't be here if we weren't passionate. To the two gentlemen to my right, we are a team and we've worked well together, and I am just one person. And there's many a times we got several events the same evening. So the three of us are going in three different directions that weekend or that weekday. And I just want to thank Eric and Skip. Thank you so much. I couldn't ask for a better team is what I got here. Mr. Chairman, thank you for running the meeting, and that's all I have.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye. We're adjourned.
Benediction.
Sorry, if you'll stand in place, benediction. Chaplain.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that has been accomplished this day. We pray that you'll continue to guide us and direct us and give us wisdom. Please bless us as we travel to our different places. Keep us safe and keep us from harm. Continue to guide us and direct us as we meet again soon. We ask all these things in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Yeah, like in my free time, Ryan. My free time, Ryan.